Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Randy Lane, who is the presiding justice of our court, welcome to the special session of the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court, sitting in and for the Second Judicial Department. We begin these proceedings typically with a pledge to allegiance. I understand one of our admittees today is Katina Fortunato. She's being asked to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is to our left.
Honorable Cheryl Chambers.
Left, also from Kings County, the Honorable Robert Miller. To my far right, from Westchester County, the Honorable Colleen Duffy. To my far left, from Suffolk County, the Honorable Hector LaSalle. And my name is Mark Dillon from Westchester. I understand we have Leslie Nisen here today. Mr. Nisen specializes in criminal defense, matrimonial law, and guardianship. He is a member of the 18B Oversight Committee of the court and a past president of the Queens County Bar Association, past president of the Network of Bar Leaders, and former editor of the Queens County Bar Association newspaper. Mr. Nisen has been a member of the Character Committee since 2001 and has an application to the court.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honors. If it pleases the court, I have a two-part motion this afternoon. First, may I present Professor Joan Foley. Professor Foley is a professor at Touro Law School for admission to the bar of this state. Ms. Foley has complied with all the rules for admission on motion, and her character and fitness have been approved by your committee. The second part of my motion, may I present this class of candidates from the 9th, 10th, and 11th judicial districts. Each of them has been certified by the State Board of Law Examiners and has been approved by your committee. On behalf of the committee, I respectfully move their admission to practice.
This application provides us with a rare opportunity to deliberate in public. It's usually not done, so I turn to our colleagues to see whether this should be granted. 2, 3, 4, 5, unanimous. So you can all read a sigh of relief. The motions are granted, both of them. Please convey to your colleagues at the Character Committee the appreciation of the court. You have such a high volume of applications constantly, and we appreciate the good work that you do in processing them through.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you all to raise your right hand for the administration to you of an oath. Is there anybody here in the class that knows the reason why we have the tradition that when an oath is administered, the oath taker raises his or her hand? Okay, they don't teach that in evidence class anymore. Yes. It goes back to Old English common law, the days of Hester Prynne and the scarlet letter A. If an individual was convicted of perjury, there were certain punishments for that. Perjury, of course, being the utterance of some falsehood about a material matter in a judicial proceeding. Back in those days, if you were found guilty of perjury, one of the penalties was they would take a hot brand that was in the shape of a P, and they would emblazon it into the palm of the hand so that there would be a permanent scar there in the palm of the right hand in the shape of a P. So if that individual was later called upon to testify at a trial proceeding, he or she would be asked to raise the right hand so that the judge or the jury, if there was one, could see whether or not that individual had a so-called rap sheet emblazoned into the palm of the hand. So having laid that foundation, if you would all please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of attorney and counselor at law to the best of my ability. Congratulations. The judges on the panel today and any attorneys that there may be seated in the back recall the days when we were sworn in as as attorneys in the bar, some of us perhaps in this very courtroom. But as one king once said, Henry, to Anne Boleyn, I will not keep you long. That took a minute to set in. But we remember exactly where we were then and where you are today. You've taken a long road to get here today. You applied for your law schools, perhaps studied for your LSATs before that. You did everything that the law schools asked you to do in terms of the curriculum. You passed the MPRE, you studied for the bar, you took the bar, you passed the bar, navigated this character and fitness process, you put all that paperwork together, and then here it all culminates in your finally being licensed to practice law in the state of New York. Our suggestion to you going forth is 3 words: find your niche. That's something that's very important for you to do as you go forward from here. And the reason for that is because for most, if not all of you, you will be spending more time practicing law in your future than you will in any other single activity of life. And that includes sleep. You know, we all need 6 or 7 hours of that every day, but the law is a demanding profession, and you're going to spend more time doing it until the day you retire than anything else. And that might be 20, 30, 40, 50 years of practicing law. So if you're going to spend so much of your life in a field, it's very important that you be in a field that gives you a very high level of personal and professional satisfaction. And that's why it's important to find your niche, that niche area of law that gives you that level of professional satisfaction. Fortunately, the law is a very diverse field. For every area of human endeavor, there's a body of law that defines how people are to act in relation to one another. And there are attorneys that counsel people how to act, and if there are disputes that can't be resolved, to take those disputes to a court, or to an arbitrator or mediator, and get them resolved. The law is so diverse that there's an exercise that can be done. We're going through the alphabet to illustrate how diverse the law is. Admiralty law, A. Banking law, B. Commercial law, divorce law, environmental law, family law, government law, housing law, international law, juvenile justice law. K is a problem. But then we remember there's criminal law. Landlord-tenant, medical malpractice, negligence, law of the oceans, products liability. Q is another problem, but there's always that fallback of criminal law. Real estate, securities law, trusts and estates law, unemployment law, veterinary malpractice, there is such a thing, you can look it up in Westlaw. Workers' compensation law. X, actually there is an X. If you look in the Black's Law Dictionary, it's Xenodocium law, Xenodocium. It has to do with the Brits. It's their law regarding the licensure of hotels and restaurants and public entertainment. Xenodocium. We're not suggesting that any of you put ads out advertising yourself as Xenodocium lawyers. Youthful offender law, that's the Y, and zoning law, that's the Z. And not only does the law have so many different areas that people can engage in, but there are different ways that you can have that engagement. Many of you may be involved in working for law firms. Some of you may be involved working for corporations, in law departments, others in government, some perhaps in teaching of law, publishing of law, the media of law. Some of you may do this, law in public interest activities that are interest of you, and some of you may simply use your legal knowledge and training in the furtherance of a personal business or a family business. So the question is, how do you get from where you are today, your very first day as licensed attorneys in New York, to that niche area that you want to be? Well, there are 2 ways of doing that. One thing is that you're going to find, as you go forward, perhaps you've already found, that the law is a very people-oriented business. You're going to be amazed at how many people you're going to encounter in your travels as an attorney. Not just people that you work with in the office, but many people even outside the office. You're going to encounter other attorneys that have cases with you or against you, clients, claims representatives, insurance adjusters, process servers, judges, judges' law secretaries, court clerks, court stenographers, court officers, experts in a field, witnesses, jurors, the list goes on and on. And in addition to all those folks that you meet through your life as an attorney, you'll be constantly exposed to individuals in other activities that you may be engaged in, whether they be religious activities, social activities, political activities, or charitable organizations. You should also be involved in bar association activities as you go forward, not just to the extent of sending in a check and having a membership card, but being actually involved in the bar associations. Down here at the southern tier of New York State, the county bar associations are large enough, and certainly the state bar association is large enough to have sections based on certain concentrated areas of law. So if there's an area of law that you're in or that you'd like to be in, then being a member of those sections is a way of getting to know your fellow attorneys in those particular areas. The second thing to remember about the law, in addition to it being very people-orientated, is that early on in your career, you're going to develop skills. And those skills will be portable. Regardless of what you do early on in your career, you're going to be a sponge absorbing the things that you learn in your early days as an attorney. It might be legal research, it might be writing or opposing motion papers, writing or opposing briefs, coming to court, going to court conferences, dealing with other lawyers, perhaps arguing appeals, dealing with clients, managing clients' expectations, depending on where you work and what type of work you do, perhaps even managing the business aspect of a law office, handling escrow accounts and so on. So you're going to develop skills early on in your career that will stick to your ribs and stay with you for the rest of your life. So to get to that niche area, you know a lot of people over here. You have skills over there. And it's the combination of those two things which may lead to a day where an opportunity presents itself to you, or where you're in a position to create an opportunity for yourself, to have that position in the legal profession that's exactly what you want to be, exactly where you want to be, doing exactly what you want to do. Predict that for many of you, you may be practicing law 5 or 10 or 20 years from now in parts of the state or parts of the country or parts of the world that today you don't necessarily envision yourself being in. And there may be some of you here who 5 or 10 or 20 years from now may be practicing law in subject areas that today you don't necessarily see yourself having an interest in, but that you may very well love by the time you get there. Be open to these possibilities. Make use of the experiences that you develop early on in your career and all the valuable friendships that you'll develop with people along the way. Now, speaking of people along the way, we have a number of people in the back of the courtroom here that have come to watch this event, to support you being sworn in, reaching this goal of being attorneys. They may be parents, they may be spouses, they may be siblings, they may be friends. Some of these individuals may have helped you with the financing of law school. They may have done things around the house so that you could spend your time studying for law exams or studying for the Bar Association. They may have been individuals that were there for you in an emotional way or in other ways. So we'd like to ask you all to turn around and give them a round of applause for their support. The clock on the wall says it's 1:45. So it's lunchtime. I assume that nobody has had lunch yet. So when we're done with these proceedings, the court is going to order that all of you take them out to lunch. Make it someplace nice now, all right? So whether in private practice or in the public sector, think logically, clearly, express yourself with conviction, be brief, relevant, and never take liberties with the truth. Volunteer to help others in need. Do pro bono work as attorneys. Be active in your communities. Stay current with your continuing legal education requirements. Keep your standards high. Bring credit to yourselves and to our profession. Adhere to the code of professional responsibility and always conduct yourself with integrity, humanity, professionalism, and the utmost respect and civility. Be proud, yet remain humble. Aim high, yet remain grounded. Safeguard your good name, your reputation, and your conscience. We here at the Appellate Division wish each and every one of you luck and success as you go forward in your career. Enjoy the blessings of good health, the company of your loved ones, and a long, successful, and rewarding career in the law. Go practice.
Okay, guests, please step out unless the names I called may sit down. I called you.